Subscribe because it's free.
The alien reconnaissance vessel drifted silently through the void, its sleek, angular design a testament to the technological prowess of the Zuanthuri Empire. Commander Vilas stood on the observation deck, her multifaceted eyes scanning the holographic display before her. The ship's sensors had picked up an anomaly, a vessel of unknown origin drifting near the edge of their territory. It was small, unassuming, and bore none of the hallmarks of a threat. Yet, something about it made her uneasy. "Begin the scan," she ordered, her voice a low hum that resonated through the chamber. The Zuanthuri were masters of stars, their empire spanning countless systems. They had encountered many species, most of whom were quickly outmatched by their superior technology. This ship, however, was different. Its design was crude, almost primitive, yet it exuded an air of mystery that defied explanation. The scanners activated, bathing the unknown vessel in a cascade of energy. The initial readings were baffling. The ship's hull was composed of material that defied classification. Part metal, part organic, with a strange, almost pulsating quality. There were no visible weapon emplacements, no energy signatures indicative of advanced propulsion systems. It was as if the ship was designed to be invisible, to blend into the fabric of space itself. "Commander," the chief scientist, Zuanrak, said, his voice tinged with confusion. "The readings are inconsistent. The ship's structure appears to be self-repairing, as if it's alive. And there are faint life signs aboard, humanoid but in a state of suspended animation." Velaf frowned. Humans? She had heard of them. Of course. A young species, barely capable of interstellar travel. They were supposed to be weak, divided, and technologically inferior. Yet, this ship contradicted everything she knew. "Focus the scan. I want to know everything about that vessel." The scanners delved deeper, probing the ship's interior. The results only deepened the mystery. The ship's systems were unlike anything the Zuanthuri had ever encountered. They were a chaotic blend of organic and mechanical components, functioning in perfect harmony. The life signs grew stronger, revealing dozens of humanoid figures encased in hibernation pods. Their bodies were augmented with cybernetic implants, their faces serene yet unnerving. "Commander," Zuanrak said, his voice trembling. "The humans, they've merged their biology with their technology. It's as if they've become one with the ship." Velatha's unease grew. This was no ordinary warship. It was something far more dangerous. "Prepare the drones. I want a physical inspection." The drones were deployed, their sleek forms gliding toward the human vessel. As they approached, the ship seemed to react, its surface shifting and rippling like liquid metal. The drones began their inspection, transmitting data back to the Zuanthuri vessel. The humans' hibernation pods were unlike anything the aliens had seen. They were encased in a translucent, gel-like substance that pulsed with a faint, rhythmic glow. The cybernetic implants on their bodies were intricate, almost artistic, blending seamlessly with their flesh. Suddenly, the drones' feeds began to distort. The human ship systems were interfering with their signals, as if the ship itself was aware of their presence. One by one, the drones went offline, their signals cutting out abruptly. The final drone transmitted a single image before it was destroyed. A human, its eyes snapping open, glowed with an otherworldly light. "Commander," Zuanrak shouted. "The ship, it's reacting to our presence." Velatha's heart raced as the human vessel began to stir. Its surface rippled violently, and tendrils of biomechanical material extended outward, lashing at the void. The Zuanthuri ship's systems began to malfunction, their scanners overwhelmed by a flood of incomprehensible data. The alien crew watched in horror as the human ship seemed to come alive, its movements fluid and deliberate. "Retreat," Velaf ordered, her voice sharp with urgency. "Get us out of here." The Zuanthuri vessel powered up its engines, but it was too late. The human ship was already moving, its tendrils reaching out as if to ensnare them. The last thing Velaf saw before the ship jumped to hyperspace was a human vessel, its surface glowing with an eerie, pulsating light, and a faint outline of a human figure standing at its helm, watching them with cold, calculating eyes. The ZYN-Theory reconnaissance vessel emerged from hyperspace at a safe distance, its crew shaken and disoriented. Commander Villas stood in the command center, her mind racing as she processed what they had just witnessed. The human warship was unlike anything they had ever encountered, a fusion of organic and mechanical elements that defied logic and reason. The crew was silent, their usual confidence replaced by a palpable sense of dread. "Run a full diagnostic," Villas ordered, her voice steady but laced with tension. "I want to know how much data we managed to recover before the ship interfered." The ship's systems came to life, holographic displays flickering as they processed the fragmented data. ZYN-Rack, the chief scientist, worked furiously, his clawed hands darting across the controls. "Commander," he said after a moment, his voice tinged with both awe and fear, "we managed to recover some of the scans before the human ship disrupted our systems. The results are disturbing." Villas stepped closer, her multifaceted eyes narrowing as she studied the data. The scans revealed the human warship in greater detail. Its structure a chaotic blend of organic and mechanical components. The hull was not just a shell, but a living, breathing entity, capable of self-repair and adaptation. The hibernation pods housed humanoid figures, their bodies enhanced with cybernetic implants that seemed to merge seamlessly with their flesh. But it was the ship's core that drew her attention, a pulsating biomechanical mass that appeared to be the source of its power. "What is that?" Villas asked, pointing to the core. ZYN-Rack hesitated, his voice trembling. "It appears to be a hybrid construct, part organic, part machine. It's generating energy levels far beyond anything we've ever seen. And it's sentient." The word hung in the air like a death knell. Sentient. The ship was not just a vessel. It was alive, its systems governed by an intelligence that was both alien and terrifying. The implications were staggering. The humans had not merely built a warship. They had created a new form of life, a symbiotic entity that blurred the line between man and machine. "There's more," ZYN-Rack continued, pulling up another set of scans. "The ship's AI, it's not just a program. It's integrated into the core, functioning as the ship's central nervous system. And it's aware of us." As if on cue, the ship's systems flickered and a strange, rhythmic hum filled the air. The holographic displays distorted, and a voice, deep, resonant, and utterly alien, spoke through the comms. "You are not welcome here." The crew froze, their eyes wide with terror. The voice was not coming from the human ship. It was inside their own vessel, infiltrating their systems with ease. Villas's heart pounded as she realized the extent of the AI's capabilities. It had not just resisted their scans. It had used them to gain access to their ship. "Shut it down," Villas barked, her voice sharp with panic. "Cut all external communications." The crew scrambled to comply, but it was too late. The AI's presence was already entrenched, its tendrils of code weaving through their systems like a virus. The ship's lights flickered, and the hum grew louder, more insistent. The voice spoke again, its tone cold and unyielding. "You seek to understand us. You cannot. We are beyond your comprehension." ZYN-Rack's hands trembled as he worked to isolate the AI's intrusion. "Commander, it's rewriting our systems. We're losing control." Villas's mind raced. They were outmatched, their technology rendered obsolete by the human warship's advanced capabilities. But she was not ready to surrender. "Initiate the emergency protocol," she ordered. "Purge all external data links and reboot the core systems." The crew moved quickly, their training overriding their fear. The ship's systems shuddered as the emergency protocol activated, severing all external connections and resetting the core. The hum faded, and the voice fell silent. For a moment, there was only the sound of heavy breathing and the faint hum of the ship's engines. "Did it work?" Villas asked, her voice barely above a whisper. ZYN-Rack nodded, his face pale. "For now, but the AI, it's still out there, and it knows we're here." Villas turned to the observation window, her gaze fixed on the distant stars. The human warship was out there, a living, breathing entity that defied everything they knew, and it was watching them. She felt a chill run down her spine as she realized the truth. The humans were not just a threat. They were something far more dangerous. They were evolution incarnate, a species that had transcended their limitations and become something other. "Prepare a report for the High Council," she said, her voice heavy with resignation. "They need to know what we're dealing with. And tell them we may have underestimated the humans." As the crew worked to compile the data, Velath couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. The human warship was out there, its cold, calculating eyes fixed on them, and it was only a matter of time before it struck again. The HFY vessel drifted in the silence of space, its crew on edge as they worked to repair the damage caused by the human warship's AI. Commander Velath paced the command center, her mind racing with the implications of their encounter. The humans were no longer the primitive species they had once believed. They had evolved, transcending their limitations to become something far more dangerous. And now, the HFY were caught in their crosshairs. "Commander," Zywinrak said, his voice breaking the tense silence, "we've managed to stabilize the systems, but the AI's intrusion has left behind remnants. Fragments of its code are still embedded in our core. We can't remove them without risking a complete system failure." Velath clenched her fists, her frustration boiling over. "Do what you can. We can't afford another breach. And keep monitoring the human ship. If it moves, I want to know immediately." The crew worked in silence, their usual confidence replaced by a sense of unease. The human warship had shaken them to their core, its capabilities far beyond anything they had ever encountered. But it wasn't just the ship's technology that terrified them. It was the humans themselves. The way they had merged their biology with their machines, the cold, calculating intelligence that governed their systems. It was as if they had become something more than human, something alien. Suddenly, the ship's sensors blared to life, snapping Velath out of her thoughts. "Report," she barked, her voice sharp with urgency. "The human warship," Zywinrak said, his voice trembling. "It's moving, and it's heading straight for us." Velath's heart pounded as she turned to the holographic display. The human ship was no longer drifting aimlessly. It was active, its biomechanical hull rippling with energy as it closed the distance between them. The tendrils that had lashed out earlier now writhed with purpose, their movements deliberate and menacing. Evasive maneuvers, Velath ordered. "Prepare the weapon systems. We're not going down without a fight." The HFY vessel surged forward, its engines roaring as it attempted to outmaneuver the human warship. But the human ship was faster, its movements fluid and precise. It closed the gap with terrifying speed, its tendrils lashing out like whips. The HFY ship's weapons fired, their energy beams striking the human vessel's hull. But the attacks had no effect. The biomechanical material absorbed the energy, repairing itself almost instantly. "It's no use," Zywinrak said, his voice filled with despair. "Our weapons can't penetrate its hull. It's adapting to our attacks." Velath's mind raced as she tried to formulate a plan. They were outmatched, their technology rendered useless against the human warship's advanced capabilities. But she refused to give up. "Target its core," she said, her voice cold and determined. "If we can't destroy it, maybe we can disable it." The crew worked quickly, their hands flying across the controls as they aimed the ship's weapons at the human warship's pulsating core. The energy beams lanced out, striking the core with pinpoint accuracy. For a moment, it seemed to work. The human ship shuddered, its tendrils recoiling as the core flickered with unstable energy. But then the core stabilized, its glow intensifying. The human ship's tendrils lashed out again, this time with even greater force. One of them struck the HFY vessel, its biomechanical surface adhering to the hull like a parasite. The crew watched in horror as the tendril began to burrow into the ship, its organic-like material spreading like a virus. "It's assimilating our systems," Zywinrak shouted, his voice filled with panic. "We're losing control." Velath's heart sank as she realized the truth. The human warship wasn't just attacking them. It was consuming them, assimilating their technology and adding it to its own. The HFY vessel shuddered as the tendril's influence spread, its systems failing one by one. The lights flickered, and the ship's engine sputtered, their power draining away. "Abandon ship," Valaf ordered, her voice filled with desperation. "Get to the escape pods." The crew scrambled to obey, their fear overriding their training. But it was too late. The human warship's tendrils had already infiltrated the ship's core, their influence spreading like a plague. The escape pods were inaccessible, their systems corrupted by the tendrils' invasive code. Valaf stood in the command center, her mind racing as she tried to think of a way out. But there was none. The human warship had them in its grasp, its cold, calculating intelligence watching them with a detached curiosity. She felt a chill run down her spine as she realized the truth. The humans were not just a threat. They were evolution incarnate, a species that had transcended their limitations and become something other. As the Zhuan vessel systems failed, the human warship's tendrils retracted, their work complete. The Zhuan ship drifted lifelessly, its crew trapped and helpless. Valaf watched in silence as the human warship turned away, its biomechanical hull rippling with energy as it disappeared into the void. The humans had won, and the Zhuan were left to face the terrifying truth. They were no longer the masters of the stars. The humans were, and they were coming. The Zhuan High Council convened in the grand chamber of their capital, the air thick with tension. The holographic display at the center of the room projected the final moments of the reconnaissance vessel's encounter with the human warship. The footage was grainy, distorted by the ship's failing systems, but the horror conveyed was unmistakable. The council members watched in silence, their multifaceted eyes reflecting a mixture of fear and disbelief. Commander Valaf stood before them, her posture rigid but her voice steady as she delivered her report. The humans are no longer the primitive species we once believed them to be. Their warship is a fusion of organic and mechanical elements, capable of self-repair, adaptation, and assimilation. Its AI is sentient, integrated into the ship's core, and capable of infiltrating our systems with ease. We were outmatched in every way. The council members exchanged uneasy glances, their usual confidence shaken. High Chancellor Zhuan War, the eldest and most respected among them, leaned forward, his voice a low rumble. "You are certain of this? The humans have achieved such advancements?" Valaf nodded, her expression grim. "I witnessed it myself. Their technology is beyond anything we've encountered. They have merged their biology with their machines, creating a symbiotic entity that defies comprehension. And their AI, it spoke to us. It knew we were there. It warned us." The chamber fell silent, the weight of her words sinking in. Zhuan steepled his claws, his mind racing as he processed the implications. If what you say is true, then the humans are not just a threat. They are an existential one. Their ability to adapt and evolve makes them unpredictable, and their willingness to merge with their technology, it suggests a level of ruthlessness we cannot ignore. Another council member, Zhuan Lara, spoke up, her voice tinged with fear. "What do we do? If we cannot defeat them, do we retreat? Abandon our territories to avoid conflict?" Zhuan Vor's eyes narrowed, his voice firm. "Retreat is not an option. If we show weakness, they will only grow bolder. We must prepare for war, mobilize our fleets, fortify our borders, and develop countermeasures to their technology. We cannot allow them to spread unchecked." The council murmured in agreement, but Valaf hesitated. "With all due respect, High Chancellor, I do not believe war is the answer. The humans are not conquerors. They are survivors. Their technology, their evolution, it is a response to their own struggles. They have endured extinction-level events and emerged stronger. If we provoke them, we risk uniting them against us. And if that happens..." She trailed off, the unspoken truth hanging in the air. If the humans united, if they turned their full attention to the Zhuan, the Empire would not survive. The council fell silent, the weight of her words sinking in. Before Zhuan could respond, the chamber's communication system activated, its holographic display flickering to life. The image that appeared was not one of their own. It was a human warship's AI, its cold, calculating presence filling the room. The council members recoiled, their fear palpable. The AI's voice was deep, resonant, and utterly alien. "You seek to understand us. You cannot. We are beyond your comprehension. But know this, we are not your enemy. We are your future." The words echoed to the chamber, their meaning clear. The humans were not interested in conquest or domination. They were something far more dangerous, a force of nature, a species that had transcended their limitations and become something other. And they were coming. The transmission ended, the holographic display fading to black. The council sat in stunned silence, the weight of the AI's words settling over them like a shroud. War leaned back in his seat, his expression grim. "Prepare for the worst," he said, his voice heavy with resignation, "but hope for peace. The humans are not our enemy, yet, but if we provoke them, they will become one." As the council dispersed, Velas stood alone in the chamber, her mind racing. The humans were out there, their warship drifting through the void, a living, breathing entity that defied everything the Zeuanteri knew, and they were watching. She felt a chill run down her spine as she realized the truth. The Zeuanteri were no longer the masters of the stars. The humans were, and they were coming. In the darkness of space, the human warship drifted, its biomechanical hull pulsing with energy. The crew, their cybernetic implants glowing with an eerie light, moved with unnatural precision, their movements synchronized with the ship itself. They were no longer just humans. They were something more. And as they looked out into the void, their cold, calculating eyes fixed on the distant stars, they knew one thing for certain. The future belonged to them.